Again, thanks, bro, for doing this, man. I'm excited. It's funny. Uh, our uh, our Instagram, our social media guy, his name's Mitch, and the day before yesterday, he sent me a screenshot of your page and he said, "Dude, you should reach out to this guy." I was like, "Yeah, but right on, man. I think I'm meeting with him on Friday." So I appreciate you, man. Uh,
Yeah, you're welcome.
uh, are you okay with us publicly sharing the recording of this story?
Yeah.
Okay. Um, is everything that you're going to tell us true the best that you can remember it?
Yeah.
Perfect. Could you or anyone you mentioned specifically in your story face prosecution or legal action due to crimes that you may share in your story?
No.
Perfect. It's all you, big dog. Introduce yourself however you want. And
Um, I guess it's afternoon, so it's evening. So it's in my language we have 4 different words. Like we have 4 different sayings. So it would be Kiskut Kukit, I believe. Kiskut Kukit. That's a good evening in my Ktunaxa language. My name's Peter White. That's my colonial name. My given name through ceremony is Kanshuke Teshmiet. Translated to English, roughly means night runner. And I'm Kootenai. I'm Ktunaxa. We're regioned around southeast British Columbia, Canada. It would be east, south, Alberta, north, west, Montana, and then kind of in Idaho. So that's where we are. That's where the Ktunaxa tribe's from. And I'm June 15th is my year of sobriety. So June 15th, 2021 will be 8 years for me. I've been sober for seems like a lifetime now. Been through lots of trials and tribulations, beat cancer, 4 years now almost, or 3.5 years remission. And cancer, I had a tumor in my right foot that I was diagnosed with. They pretty much explained it to me like it was breast cancer, but in the foot. They'd never seen it before. So I had a bunch of surgeries done on my foot, like extensive surgeries. It's pretty crazy. I had tendon transfers, skin graft. Had multiple surgeries on my foot, which was pretty crazy, which I'll talk about later, which kind of brought me into where I am at now kind of. So I started drinking at a very young age, at like 16. I drank because of a girl. This girl I was dating, she drank, and I grew up in a guardian home, so I was legally adopted out from my parents because they're both alcoholics. They struggle with their addictions. They still do to this day. But pretty much as soon as I left the hospital, I was adopted to a lady that was neighbors with my mom when they were teenagers, and they were friends. So my mom, who I call my mom, she's like a legal guardian, but I look at her as my mom. She's non-Indigenous, so she's non-Aboriginal, non-First Nations. She's Caucasian. She just turned 18 when she adopted me. So like she was fairly young. She dropped out of high school at pretty much grade 12 so she could raise me. But growing up in the family was kind of unique because my older sister ended up getting adopted by my grandma and my guardian family. So, and one of my cousins. So we kind of had a little bit of family together when we were adopted out. So growing up, we were kind of close still. And my guardian family never put restrictions on me. They never told me I couldn't learn my ways. They were always, accepting, and they always actually tried to kind of push me to learn my ways. But being adolescents, it wasn't cool, right? It wasn't the end thing to do. So I kind of got into it when I was 9 and 10. I started to powwow dance a little bit. There's different categories of powwow dancing, and I kind of got into a category called grass dance. I danced for about 2 years, 3 years, and then we had moved. We moved from the Kootenays to the Okanogans. My grandpa, my guardian grandpa, legal guardian grandpa, was diagnosed with COPD type 2. So they needed to go to a bigger city that had better facilities for a hospital. So my mom ended up following them because she was really close to them. And I just fell out from my whole culture and everything. And I fell out from that because no one was really, I didn't know many people from that area. There was a lot of indigenous people there. I didn't really know anyone, you know, being young, not knowing very many people. It was kind of awkward. So I kind of tried to hide, like I was trying to hide who I was. It's kind of ashamed who I was at the time. And then high school came along. Grade 9, grade 9, I started to hang out with this girl. She was Indigenous First Nations, and she drank. She was a year older, and I didn't want to drink because I seen my parents the way they were growing up. Like I would kind of have touch with them here and there, but they were pretty lost in their addictions. They were worse off than they are now, and I just didn't want to be that. But I really liked this girl, so you know, I kind of played it off like I was drinking for a while, and then she kind of caught on. And then one night I did drink, and the first night I drank, I blacked out. And it's kind of crazy. I tell people that every time I drink, I blacked out. I don't remember a single time I drank that I didn't black out. It was nuts. So that was my first experience of alcohol, and it just grew. The addiction just grew like pretty fast. Like it was instantly, as soon as I felt that buzz feeling, like that warm, tingly feeling in your stomach, that's what I was trying to chase. But I never realized it. The more you drink, the further you get away from that. But I was still trying to chase that. But in my mind, I didn't realize that. So I would just drink and drink and drink, trying to keep that and chase that. And I just ended up blacking out every time. And there's been like many nights I don't remember how I got home, or I don't remember like 3/4 of the night. Like sometimes I would day drink and not even remember half the day. Like you just come in and out of it. I tried to quit a couple times when I was younger. I would quit for like 4 months, 5 months, then jump back on because I was kind of bored, you know, bored with life. I think I must have had to quit 15 times before I actually quit. I tell people that, you know, you got to keep quitting and then eventually you quit, because it's just you got to learn. And I talk about that nowadays. Some people don't like the way I kind of talk about falling off, but I look at falling off as showing us gratitude for what sobriety is, right? You don't really understand sobriety until you fall off and realize that it is actually something you really want. You know, it's another way of showing yourself gratitude. And I've tried to tell that to some people, and some people get really offended by me. Myself personally, I never did the AA thing. I kind of went the different route, but I know AA people are kind of, I don't really understand it myself because I've never been down that road, but I know there's 12 steps and there's these things, and people tell me that you can't tell people to, you know, do that. That's the wrong way. You know, they'll die, they'll relapse. You know, if they relapse, they'll die. They can. I'm like, well, then that's your time to go, because that's how we are. Right? Times to go, and it's time to go. It doesn't matter. Can't change it. So that's the way I look at it. And throughout my whole early 20s, I drank every weekend, Friday night, Saturday night, sometimes Sunday, every event I could, like Christmas, New Year's, Halloween, like every holiday. It was just a reason for me to drink and meet up with people and waste a lot of money, piss a lot of money away. I never did drugs. That's the thing, you know. I think I can count on my hands how many times I smoked weed. And every time I smoked weed, I got really paranoid. And I just didn't like the feeling. And then people would say, "Oh, you got to smoke more." And I'm like, "No, man, I'm good with my alcohol. I'm good with booze and drinking. And that's just my thing." And shoot, some nights I would spend up like $600 on booze, like just buying for myself, for friends and everyone around me. And I'm a union iron worker, so I make decent money. I'm also an entrepreneur, but at the time I was an iron worker, so I still am. But I all my hard-earned money would just be spent on booze all weekend. Like it was kind of nuts. Like there was a few times I was pretty close on rent because I drank too much. And actually, at the age 18, I moved up northern Alberta to try to work the oil rigs with my brother, my guardian brother, and it didn't really work out for me. Didn't really like that, so I ended up moving to Vancouver, British Columbia. Not really knowing anyone. Had a few friends here that lived out here, and I had a job, part-time laboring on construction sites, and I would be pretty much paid every day. They would pay me every day, and I would just spend it on booze mostly, like partying and drinking and clothes. And I was actually homeless at the time, so I didn't even have a place. I was staying at friends' couches. I would wherever I could stay. This girl I was seeing at the time, her mom was addicted to I think it was speed. Pretty sure she was addicted to speed. So her mom knew of all these like crack shacks, I guess, these drug houses. And sometimes I would just go there and sleep because I knew people were always up and I could find a place to just crash in the corner or whatever. Or there was this one place that she knew that had a Winnebago outside. And that's where they would all the street workers would take their clients. And I would just go in there sometimes and sleep if it rained. And it rains a lot here in Vancouver. So I would try and sleep there instead of sleeping on the street. Friends would sneak me into their places, sleep on their spare couches or on the ground, wherever. Right. Some of my friends' parents kind of felt bad for me, so they let me stay for a little bit, which is pretty much just being a bum until I was about 19, 20. I ended up finally deciding to save up to get my own place. One of my friends' parents let me stay in their basement suite for, was it 2 months while I saved up for a damage deposit on a house. And after that, I ended up moving, like staying in places and trying to save up and understanding rent and all that. And I partied for a good another 4 years, just off and on drinking, blacking out, spending a lot of my money. 24 came around and I met this girl at a party, or she came out to a bar, and we hit it off really good. We kind of hung out more, started getting more serious on the time as the time went on. Started dating her. She had a little girl. I think at the time when I started dating her, her daughter was two or three, but she was around 2 or 3, and I was still drinking. We would still, hang out on weekends and drink. And she would drop her daughter off at her mom's. So her daughter was never around. And the odd time her daughter would come out and spend the night when we wouldn't drink, but wasn't very often though. And then her mom started to kind of want to spend more time with her daughter because she's like, hey, I'm not spending time with my daughter. I need to start spending time with her. So I was still addicted to alcohol. And I would still party and I would make promises to hang out, but I would just go party and black out. We were supposed to go do things, go to the aquarium or whatever. And I kind of remember coming in and out of my blackout one time when she was ready to break up with me. She said she can't do this anymore. And then that's when I knew I needed to change because I didn't want to lose her. So I remember telling her when I was coming to my blackout that I'm going to change, I'm going to stop. And then I sobered up the next day and I was taking a look at my life and I was kind of looking at myself. Like I felt like my parents, I felt like how my parents were with me. And I didn't want to be that drunken mess that I saw growing up. I didn't grow up with my real parents, but I saw them once in a while. I seen them do that. So I didn't want to be that for that little girl. I wanted to be a stand-up man for that little girl. So I decided to change my life. And I started working out. I was overweight. I think I was about 35 pounds at that time. And I'm 5'7", so it looks kind of funny on me being that much. So I got a personal trainer, started to work out, and it was like a blessing in disguise because we were talking about, I was talking about alcohol and getting sober kind of, and my personal trainer looked at me and he's like, you're never going to lose weight. if you don't give up the beer. He's like, it's filled with empty calories. So if you want to get in shape, you got to give that up. And I was like, wow, that's like one of my signs, because I've been wanting to kind of quit drinking. So I took that as my sign. I started working out more, getting in better shape. I kind of jumped around personal trainers just to try other things out. I've done powerlifting. I've done, the bodybuilding style. I've done Olympic lifting, which I really love. Done a little bit of boxing. And it took me a few times to quit after I decided to quit. I didn't just quit right away. How I did it was I told myself, okay, I was going to drink once a weekend. So it was either Friday night or Saturday night. And then I did that for about 2 months, kind of got that under control. And then I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to drink 2 times a month. And then that slowly started as 2 times a month. And I got that under control. And then it was like once a month. And when I had triggers and stuff like that, I would just, on Friday night was really bad for me. I would go work out kind of late. And then I would buy movie tickets. So I'd go see a movie. And by the time I got out of the movie, I'd be too tired to drink. So I was just like, I'm just going to go home. I'm tired. I'm going to pass out. And with my partner, and that's how I started to move that. And then it was, I think I was sober. I hadn't drinking for almost 4 months. And we were moving. And you know how you, like, when you're partying, you always have an excuse to drink. So we were having a moving party. And I think it was I want to say it was a 12 pack or a 10 pack. It wasn't very much beers. What I was used to drinking, I would drink a lot. I drank like probably 45 beers and I guess a fifth or an eighth a night. That's a lot. I drink a lot. So I had 10 beers and I started to get that feeling that I got, and I was trying to chase. And I had to fight. I remember fighting so hard, not going to the liquor store to buy more or going to the bar to go drink more. And that's when I realized that I had a problem. And that's when I started to take a bigger look at my life, figuring out that, damn, like alcohol is not for me. I can't handle that. I can't control that. And so after that, it was almost 2 months until I had another drink. And I was with one of my best friends. I bought a gazebo and we were setting that up, and I bought a 12 pack with him. I remember I opened up the beer. I took a sip and it tasted funny. It was like, man, this doesn't taste right. So kind of smelled it and I thought maybe it was bad. And so I said, whatever, I'll try it again. Took another sip and I asked my friend, I was like, does this taste funny to you, man? It tastes weird. I don't like it. It tastes gross. And then so he took a sip of my beer and he's like, tastes good to me. So I had one more sip. And then after that, just something clicked and I just said, this wasn't for me. This isn't for me anymore. And I just knew from that point on that like I didn't need alcohol. And it was pretty crazy. It was like the light turned on. It was yeah, so there's something I'd been searching for a while. So I've done a lot of work on myself, trauma healing, and working out and other things, beating cancer, and I started entrepreneurship. I'm a Kangen water distributor, but that's actually how on my personal growth where I'm at today. That's what actually started that. So I started to sell Kangen, or what was before that. I was working out, starting to get healthier. My coach or my personal trainer, the very first one I had, forced me to drink like 4 liters of water a day, like a gallon a day. And I was like, man, that's hard. Like, so he drew little lines on my water bottle for me, timed it out for me to drink water. And he's like, you need to drink at least a gallon a day. So I chugged that back. It was hard. And then after I started to feel better and see the results, so I started doing more research on water, because I knew water was like it's super important for us. And I knew tap water is just not healthy because it's full of a lot of stuff. And I wasn't really big into bottled water because I knew that it just tasted like plastic and I just wasn't too sure what was in it. And I knew at the time I kind of had a feeling, some water bottle companies steal from indigenous peoples and they don't give back to the communities. And, you know, I just kind of knew I didn't want to support that. So I kept looking at natural ways, and this water that I sell now kept coming up. And there was different people. A guy went to ironworking school. Um, he was drinking the water. That's how I kind of came across it. And he kind of told me about it. And I was drinking it and kind of seen results. And then another fitness guru I follow online, he was talking about the water. And then another one of my best friends, he was talking about the water. And then I was kind of like put it together. I'm like, these people don't even know each other. And like they're not even in the same circle. It's kind of weird how they're all talking about it. And then pretty much I took that as my sign. So I started that entrepreneurship selling the water. And that was kind of at the point where I got diagnosed with cancer. So I was kind of looking up natural ways to heal because I didn't feel like I was going to go down the chemo route if I had to. And this water kept popping up. And then that's when I started to, later down on the road, I started to invest into myself. I consume a lot of positive content. I read a lot. I journal every morning. I do gratitude journals. What else do I do? I meditate. I do yoga. I work out consistently, like in any form. It's just getting the body going. Either I'm dancing. I'm a power dancer, but that's how when I was diagnosed with cancer, I was leaving the doctor's office. They'd already taken out, I had a big tumor on the top of my foot. It's like an oversized bean. It's probably like this big, probably the size of my eyeball. And I couldn't put any pressure on it. And it was there for about a year, half a year. And I thought it would go away, being a tough man, right? Oh, it'll go away. I didn't want to go to the doctor. And then something at work happened, and then I ended up going to the doctors, and they cut it out. And the doctor just said he had a funny feeling about it. So he sent it away for a biopsy. That turned into, he's like, it may be cancer, it may not, just so you know. So they did extensive like blood work. I've done CT scans, MRIs. They did ultrasounds on my foot. And then it came back, it was cancer. So they're like, well, we're going to cut everything away. We're going to take tendons out, transfer tendons, just so you know. Your foot, your foot might be a little weird when we finish. So I might not be able to ironwork again. So that's when I took the entrepreneurship more serious. And as I was leaving the doctor's office after they told me it was cancer, I kind of knew. I knew I had a feeling, so I went to the doctor's office, and I was sitting there in the cancer treatment center, and 3 of them came in, and I was like, "Oh yeah, this is it. This is cancer, man. Like this is it." And they didn't have to tell me. I read their vibe, their faces, and then as I was leaving the office, I called my mom. I told her, and I said, "This is my chance. This is where I want to start powwow dancing." Because prior to that, I was going to powwows and I was just hanging out on weekends to watch, to get myself out and to keep myself busy during weekends. When you don't drink, you need things to do. So it's been about a year since I was going, and I kind of wanted to go, and I took that as my sign to start dancing. And that like blew up quickly, because as soon as I started to dance, I just fell in love with it. I invested a lot of my time and energy. Like I would work Monday to Friday ironworking, leave a little early. I was traveling to powwows like 4 or 5 hours away. So I would powwow all weekend, get home late Sunday night, back up to ironwork. And that's what I would do all summer. And I would practice as much as I could. And that blew up pretty quick. Like people who see me dance now, they think I've been dancing my whole life, and they don't realize that. I'm like, no, I haven't even been dancing for 4 years, and they're just blown away. But that's because I put like all of my heart and all my energy into that, and creating things and learning things and just traveling and dancing and failing lots. Like I've failed lots at dancing, and that's with everything in life. You know, you gotta fail and fail and fail, and you'll eventually get it. Um, and I'm pretty much here now, almost, I guess. Um, just recently, I've been consuming more and more content from like I don't know if you know Gary Vaynerchuk. I listen to him a lot, and I've been listening to him for like the last 3 months. And the way he portrays himself, I was like, man, that's like us Indigenous people. Us Indigenous people are exactly what he talks about. So a lot of my stuff I post now, my social media content, is from the heart, and I'm not trying to sell. Before I was trying to sell the water, and that's all my content was about, was just selling water and selling water. And now that shifted to just helping people to become better, to become the best versions of themselves, any way and form, like through sobriety, or losing weight, or starting a new job, or whatever they want, quitting the job they hate, or becoming an artist, or just playing an instrument. That's what my goal is now. It's just to inspire people to become better. And that's where my content has shifted. And it's just changed my whole life. It's pretty cool. It's pretty unique to see people reach out to me and ask me stories and ask me how I got sober. And in my journey through sobriety, I learned a lot of cool things, like listening to people, and I've kind of tweaked it for myself. So when people ask me sobriety tips, one tip I give people now is sit down, have one of your favorite drinks, coffee, tea, water, a pop, whatever you want. Put on some relaxing music like jazz. I listen to Chill Hop. Chill Hop's pretty good on YouTube. They got different styles, different genres, classical. Sit down and write why you want to become sober, and write down 10 things you're going to gain from sobriety. People are so prone to looking at what they're going to lose, like what they have to give up. They never look at what they're going to gain from sobriety. Like there's a lot of things that you can gain from sobriety, and take a picture of that, put it on your phone, fold up that list if you want to, put it in your wallet, purse, wherever. And when times get hard, read that out loud, those 10 things, why and why, because that's going to like spark you to get back into where you first started it when it gets hard, because sobriety isn't easy. It's definitely not easy. And that's one thing, honestly, I wish I learned when I started my journey, because that would have made it a lot easier knowing why I wanted to be sober and what I've gained from it. So that's one tip I could give you about sobriety, and just enjoy it. It's a process. It doesn't happen like, you can't just be 10 years sober. You have to do it one day at a time. That's today's, like, honestly, that's when people ask me now how long I've been sober, I just tell them I'm sober today. And that's honestly what matters to me is today. It doesn't matter how much time I've been sober before. I'm sober today, because that's the past and this is now. So if you can just focus on being today, you're already one step ahead. And then that eventually will just add up. And then you'll be happier. And just know that you're gonna fall down, and that's where gratitude comes from. Falling off the wagon. So that's my story.
So dope. Do you want to real quick before I stop recording, do you want to give your Instagram, your website, your tribe, any of that stuff? Do you want to give a plug?
Yeah, so my Instagram is Peter U Not So White. And, my name's Peter White. And as you can tell, I'm not really white. So that's where I kind of came up with that. The U is from, I saw a numerologist, whatever. The numerology, he sees numbers and stuff, and he kind of looks at your name. So he said, put a U in that, because it used to be Peter Not So White. And then he's like, throw a U in it, and it'll kind of turn people off. Like they'll kind of get thrown off by it. So yeah, it's Peter, Peter, You Not So White. I'm also on TikTok. That's the same. It's Peter, You Not So White. My business where I sell Kangen water is in my Instagram link. It's in the bio, and Kangen water has changed my life. The slogan with Kangen water is change your water, change your life. So yeah, it's changed my life for the better. I wouldn't be the man who I am today, definitely, because I've suffered through depression and suicidal thoughts and things like that. And I wouldn't be who I am if without that.